So I'm John Burkhardt, for those of you who don't know me well, and I've got the honor of discussing the medical education research work we do at U of M. I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to talk today. I have the rare privilege of being at one of the best places to do medical education research in the country. We have one of the most impressive assemblies of faculty, I think, in this area anywhere in the country. And what I think is the most impressive about it is that we have, I think, a very egalitarian approach to research in med ed. We have investigators and first authors that are medical students, residents, faculty, and fellows, and we have one of the most productive groups, I think, anywhere in emergency medicine that's doing medical education research. We have advanced training in medical education in a way that is pretty much unique, I think, in the country as well, with Dr. Stanton's PhD and ultimately with master's degrees, or obtaining a master's degree. And so it just is really an amazing place to be. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that. So we also have a special medical education research group. It's not on the same scale as the Injury Prevention Center, but we meet and bring together a number of faculty, residents, and other trainees that are interested in medical education. It's based off specific goals towards academic leadership and productivity. We take a team science approach, as was discussed in Dr. Barsan's talk, trying to pool research resources and statistics and research design, as well as expertise in clinical medicine, education, teaching, and research. Marcia and Hobson and others were part of a group that had a paper published actually just on the medical education research group in 2015, given kind of its uniqueness in emergency medicine, and it shows the kind of significant amount of productivity. These numbers have gone only up significantly since 2014. And if you look at the SAM didactics, if you look at medical education journals, U of M and U of M associated researchers are extraordinarily heavily represented. So when I was asked to kind of talk about a little bit of what's done with our medical education research, I tried to kind of take a step back and look at some of the major themes of areas that I think that we focus on. These are my themes. There's lots of different ways you can think about medical education. Our research and our interventions extend from the undergraduate medical education level, so med school, through residency, and sometimes into the extremes of education, into our pre-medical and then CME worlds. I'd like just to kind of talk about some of the things that have just come out recently in medical education in these areas. So within curriculum design, we are heavily represented. Dr. Stanton is part of a large AMA group that a grant that just is transforming the way we do medical education at the medical school level, that I'm sure you're aware of. Dr. Daniel is assistant dean as well in curriculum design. We are extraordinarily well represented at an elite medical school, which is unusual in emergency medicine. We focus on curriculum design across all levels. We have bedside teaching and communication. Corey Zink, one of our medical students, is doing research on that and has a publication submitted. This is from Meg Wolf, who's currently working on her master's degree at the MHEPE program on lecture teaching. And of course, my most favorite faculty group, the ultrasound group, has quite a bit of bedside teaching. I know that Ross is recently working on developing a way to do teaching to survival flight based off of what we do in residency. So again, this kind of expansive, multidisciplinary research in teaching. We also are one of the centers for learner assessment. Love it or hate it, milestones are here to stay for the time being, and we have been one of the driving forces on research in the area, both in expanding into medical students and looking at where medical students are when they come into residency, and then establishing what should be our milestone evaluation in emergency medicine. We also have quite a bit of work on multi-source assessment using 360-degree feedback, and as you may know, Sally Stanton is an expert in feedback research as well. I think another major theme in our kind of general medical education research is selection process research. We have ongoing work right now looking at doximetry, which some of you may know is a ranking of EM programs that is in some ways pretty poorly done methodologically, and we're looking to see how that's shaping incoming residents' choice of emergency medicine programs. We also have ongoing research in undergraduate admissions, and John Ray, one of our recent graduates, is working on career selection into emergency medicine. It's something that he's working on with Dr. Hobson and myself. And then the kind of last thing I think is key is kind of this idea of boundary spanning domain research. So Joe House is kind of our point person on interprofessional education. He's also, with Sally, been involved in another large grant and is taking the lead on interprofessional education. You've seen the first year medical students in their kind of novel curriculum that are involved in our department, both working with our attendings, but somewhat unusually working with pharmacists and nursing and social work to build a different approach to interprofessional education that is more team-based. And emergency medicine is, and our faculty and residents are in large ways driving that. We also have an agenda in social justice in medical education. Dr. Haggins has been involved in that, Dr. Perry, Michael Cleary, one of our residents, and I have some interest in those things as well. And I would say I probably spend most of my time in this final thing doing my work. So why am I up here? I am, I think as Dr. Cunningham once described me, an odd bird. I have an interest in the best way possible. I own that odd birdness, and I wear it as a badge of pride. I am interested in education research, probably more research than teaching, and as the residents and medical students will attest, that's because I'm a terrible teacher. And so I'm interested in more of the larger systemic things that make education work. And so, as you may know, I did a master's degree during residency and have been working on my PhD on education policy. And my focus is on using quantitative analysis to drive policy in a different way than we've done in the past. Medical education has long been, in its history, an anecdotal-based system and based off an apprenticeship system. And medical education now is undergoing this incredible professionalization where we have people that are focusing their career on being amazing clinical educators, being administrative leaders, and being researchers as their focus. And they're getting training in education in a way that hasn't really been done before. And so I want to be a part of that, and I'm in a place that I can do that. What I like to do is to look at data in the way that we've done evidence-based medicine and say, let's be evidence-based educators. Let's make sure that we're using data to decide how we recruit, how we select, how we teach, and how we assess our learners so that we know we're doing the very best. Going back to some of the things that Dr. Barsan talked about with that kind of ability to expand beyond yourself, this is how I feel I can contribute, is if we are doing a better job with every medical student, with every resident, and we're doing a better job in picking them and guiding them and supporting them, well, that can have a transformative moment. And it, in some ways, dovetails with things that Keith is doing, because this is where I see value added, right? If we do a better job with the massive amounts of money that we spend on education, we can really make a huge societal difference. Near and dear to my heart is also a social justice belief in that we need to address the mismatches in our society between the society in whole and who are our physicians, who are our healthcare providers, as those make significant impacts on care and how well we can deliver care. And the way that we've kind of done it in the past is not really well addressed. We've thrown money at how do we get people to be primary care physicians. We've thrown some money at how do we get underrepresented in medicine healthcare providers. But we don't always do it in the way that is the most efficacious because we don't have the data in place to do it. So in the last 16 months or so, I've been trying to take that and turn it into actual work. And so I'd like to just take 3 of those articles and talk briefly about it. I was asked to write a commentary about resident selection interviews and what we can take away about that. And I tried to move us from just, we should be interviewing people to why are we interviewing, what are we hoping to get out of them, and talk about how interviews actually can be harmful and beneficial. But we're going to kind of move through these relatively quickly. I've also been involved in some modeling of behavior and career decision. This is one of my more recent articles looking at predicting who's going to enter academics and how we can actually support those people using long-term data. And that's a predictive level on kind of people that are entering through our residency and then where they end up. And then the most recent thing I've been most interested in is doing enrollment management. So how can we predict if we admit a student, are they likely to attend the university, and how can we change those things? So looking at this model here, we can actually input and have a decision maker make differences, okay? I'll be very brief. And so going forward, I've recently received a SAM education fellowship training grant. So this is like the research training grant, but involved in medical education. I'm going to be using data built from the AAMC at multiple levels and in the application process with AMA to look at pipeline issues in emergency medicine. I'm hoping to complete my candidacy qualifications in the next couple months and enter my dissertation. And I'm going to be moving forward on working on that medical school question so that we can actually understand how we're admitting students, how we're recruiting them, and how we can actually affect change using data and targeted interventions like financial aid or other recruitment processes to improve the process. Any questions?
I'll start by saying the odd bird part is many people are crazy enough to do a PhD or residency. Not too many people are crazy enough to combine the two directly. But you are, by doing so, are well poised to lead medical education research in the next coming years. And the Career Development Award that you just received from SIEM is a huge stamp for that and very impressive and exciting.